He had some very unusual looking eyes, very unsettling. He was known to rub his head in a frustrated manner and complain that it felt like a squid was sucking on his head.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, which of course sounds deeply unpleasant. Hi, Cassie.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hey, creepy people.
Hello.
You stole my hello.
I'm going to steal it now every other time.
You can't. Hello. If you're new to our creepy corner of the world, this is P&W, Haunts and Homicides, where we chat about true crime, the paranormal, and all things creepy in the Pacific Northwest. Because that's what P&W stands for.
It definitely does. Pacific Northwest. Burn it into your brain. P&W. We do a tarot reading at the end for deeper insight into this episode. So make sure you stick around for that.
So we've already released the short form episode talking about this case. It was part of our Mother's Day collaboration. So now this is going to be the full-length episode, so we'll have some added notes and a little bit of discussion about the case. There may be some other little tidbits that I couldn't quite fit into the short-form episode. And obviously, we'll do the tarot reading.
Yes, and there will be a lot more of me talking, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I wasn't really talking that much, and that's because we had a time limit. So
yeah, it was tight.
So we'll be playing clips from that, and then we will discuss them after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As indie podcasters, we love to show our support of other awesome shows. So stay tuned for the promo we've got to share with you this week.
Let's show them some love. You can find their info in our show notes.
You experience a deep betrayal when you are lied to and cheated on by a narcissist. We all know they don't take responsibility. So now what do? We address this and more in the Empath and Narcissist podcast, spiritual healing from trauma and abuse for empaths. It is empowering empaths 3 times a week in recovery and healing from narcissistic abuse and childhood trauma through human design, self-care, mindful advice, and expert interviews. Subscribe now to the Empath and Narcissist podcast and listen to regain your sparkle back after narcissistic abuse.
You guys, we're back.
And don't worry, we did get more wine.
Well, of course.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Many of us, if we choose to or are able to celebrate Mother's Day, we do that by sending our mom a card or maybe some flowers, if we're not close enough to actually visit. Since my mom lives in the area, we love to do brunch. It's a nice, relaxing way to do something everyone can enjoy for the occasion.
Ooh, I think of mimosas. Crepes.
But because this isn't a podcast about brunch, in May of 2015, not everyone would be able to celebrate the way they might wish, particularly in the somewhat rural Oregon areas of Colton and Estacada. How familiar are you with Colton or Estacada?
I don't think I've ever heard of Colton.
Yeah, it's very small.
Maybe I have, I don't know, but I don't really know where either of them are. I don't think I know where Estacada is either. I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much everyone in Oregon has heard of it. There's actually a lot of pretty camping out that way. I'll show you really quick.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's not far from Milo McIver Disc Golf Course.
Oh.
That's really pretty much it.
I don't play disc golf, but
me either.
I do like to camp.
Yeah,
and
there's
hike.
Camping.
Yeah.
State Park by the same name. Milo McIver.
Nice.
I think that's how people say it. I don't know.
Oregonians, let us know.
Yeah.
Estacadians, let us know.
So both Colton and Estacada are kind of smaller little towns, villages. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Colton might actually qualify more as a village, but they're growing areas for sure, but it's a little bit more rural. Rural.
You've said it. Great. Both of them.
The latest data from 2021 says Estacada has a population of 4,764.
It's pretty good sized.
Yeah. And just to sort of triangulate it for those of us that aren't super familiar with the area or just Oregon in general, it's 30 miles southeast of Portland.
Okay.
Joshua Lee Webb was 36 years old at the time, living in a pole barn on his parents' property where the Webb family home was, doing odd jobs in the small community of Colton. His parents, Tina Marie and David Webb, were aware of only some of his struggles. The Webbs had lived in that neighborhood for about 20 years. Their neighbors said that Tina Webb had actually graduated several years prior with a horticulture degree from Clackamas Community College and was a master gardener.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
That's really cool.
Very wholesome.
Yeah.
She had designed and worked on a garden at a local church.
Oh my gosh. And then you just go and make it even more wholesome.
I know.
I feel bad for his parents.
Yeah.
Because they seem like they were well known around town then if they lived there for 20 years.
Yeah.
In a small town.
Very, very small community. So there is sort of this sense that kind of everybody knows everybody a little bit.
Okay, but I really need to know what this pole barn is.
What the pole barn situation is?
Yeah, I need to know about this pole barn situation. The sitch on the pole barn.
Okay, so initially, I did not know.
You don't have to admit that to anybody. Nobody knows.
Well, I was going to because it turns out it's more interesting than I thought.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, you seemed very uninterested when I was like, what's a pole barn? And you're like, I don't know. Don't care.
My face was like, drop it.
It's a barn. It pulls things.
I mean, not quite. So I'll read you the definition taken from DIYpolebarns.com.
Very fancy.
The name pole barn stems from the 1930s. Due to a disrupted economy from the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, farmers turned to the most cost-effective materials they could to construct new buildings, like recycled telephone poles.
That is not like what I was expecting at all.
Nope.
I honestly thought it was going to be like it housed equipment that pulled things around the farm.
Oh.
Like I was thinking pole, like Pull.
Yeah, you can't see how it's spelled, so I could see where,
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. I get it.
Yeah. He had problems with his vision, and though he was considered kind of a weirdo around town,
I'm a weirdo.
not this kind of weirdo, he was generally thought to be nonviolent. However, concerning his mental health issues that they were perhaps unaware of, at least in part, they would not remain hidden forever. Later, a number of bizarre accounts about his state of mind and behavior would come to light. Like that he thought his girlfriend was trying to inject him with something in an effort to kill him. Then there was the truly bizarre claim that Fox TV was trying to own him.
What?
I'm not exactly sure what that means. He also believed that something in the family home wasn't quite right.
Him?
He was said to believe that there was a recording device present, something like a black box in the garage, just capturing all of the day-to-day goings-on.
That's like really extreme. He's very, very, very paranoid, it sounds like. He thinks his girlfriend is trying to inject him with something?
Yes.
Like poison or something?
I mean, it's really anyone's guess because I have no idea. I did not really find any information that expanded on, like, No further information is available at this time. It's
like, would he even know like what she was trying to inject him with though? Like,
I don't think so.
that is just, I can't even imagine just feeling like someone's about to stab you with a needle.
What's really interesting about that is, like you said, obviously super paranoid, but on the flip side, this is the same girlfriend, I think. There's a Facebook page that the Oregon Live found of his, and I'll read to you something that was quoted in an article they wrote about this whole case.
Oh, okay.
So this Facebook page did not have a lot of entries. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Don't really have any desire to, if it does still exist. One of the only entries, other than pictures of a dog and a comment about a thunderstorm, shows a heart over the words, "in a relationship." And the post reads, "When you can't sleep apart and anything life throws at you isn't too much to be with her. Yep, that's where I'm at."
Oh, well, okay.
So very...
Didn't stay there, sounds like.
Right. I know. That's really the strangest part, is that it's almost like we're talking about two different people.
Well, that sounds to me is like what everyone does on Facebook is they put out their good feelings.
Right. The best.
And you don't have any clue what's going on in their real life.
It's that highlight reel.
Yeah. One more thing. Fox News was trying to own him. That's what you said? What?
She's like, whoa, whow, whoa.
What does that mean?
No one knows.
I'm trying to think and I can't.
My brain is broken.
Yeah. These two things broke my brain. My girlfriend's trying to inject me with something and Fox News is trying to own me. So I'm going to reach out to Fox News and try to get a statement from them. Were they in fact trying to own this man? So stay tuned.
Honestly, maybe that's why they let Tucker Carlson go.
Oh, we figured it out. This is breaking news right on the pod.
It doesn't have anything to do with any of the election stuff. Allegedly. No. Is that all we have to do, is just say allegedly and then we can't get sued?
Yeah. You can say anything and then just say allegedly after it and you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. Eventually, his physical appearance began to deteriorate, not the least of which he had some very unusual looking eyes. Very unsettling. He was known to rub his head in a frustrated manner and complain that it felt like a squid was sucking on his head.
Okay. I get that.
Which of course sounds deeply unpleasant. I'm going to need you just to expand a little bit on that. What do you mean? You get that?
I do. I get the squid sucking on your head thing. Like when you have a migraine is kind of what I'm picturing, is like a tightly wrapped tentacles pulling at your brain.
Okay.
So I feel like he just had migraines and didn't know how to express that he had a migraine, maybe?
I feel like I experience migraines. Like I understand what you're saying. When you explain it that way, that I get.
Okay.
That makes sense. I have always likened it more to like having your head in a vice, or sometimes it's not like having your head in a vice where your head is being squeezed. Sometimes I experience what I call my brain trying to escape. And it feels like my brain is expanding and literally trying to just like crawl out of my skull.
Yeah.
And then I have pressure on like behind my eyes. So it feels like my brain's like pushing on them.
I'm literally getting a headache as we're talking about this.
Yeah. It's freaking me out.
Yeah. Are you getting one too?
Yeah. I've been kind of feeling like low grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets... Anyways, the long and the short of it is that usually when I have that, what I'm kind of envisioning is like my brain is knocking, like as if it were a door, but on the back of my eyeball. And any minute now, it's just going to be like, police, and they're going to bring the SWAT team, and they're just going to like use that. What is it called? They use it to like break down your door.
What I was picturing is a bunch of very strong men holding a tree and like banging it at the door.
Yeah.
You know, like the old school door breakdown.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking in my head.
Anyways, so I mean, the visual for me is just that my eyeball one day just like rolls out,
Pops out,
you know,
explodes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's cool.
So I think he's either, you know, just describing a migraine, or he is having more of those paranoid feelings. Like, I feel like this one's a little bit more hard to figure out which.
Yeah. I mean, two things can be true. Maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, maybe.
His mother expressed concern to other family members about his mental health, and Joshua himself seemed to be aware that what he was experiencing was not normal, and at times he even expressed concern that he might harm himself or others.
He had that much self-awareness?
I feel like he was just feeling like he's very much out of control in his own body and mind. He voluntarily turned over firearms and destroyed knives that he had previously possessed. He went so far as asking his girlfriend to move back to the East Coast in order to keep her away from him.
Yeah, I'm really just mind blown that he turned in weapons and like...
Yeah, he turned some in and then he destroyed others.
Yeah.
So the ones that he maybe just couldn't turn over to the police. I don't know if they only have programs that accept certain types of weapons.
Take all the weapons from all the people.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
You know what I mean? All the crazy people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then to tell his girlfriend to move away.
Yeah.
Did she listen?
I don't know if she actually moved back to the East Coast.
I feel like that's probably not something that would ever have been reported, but
yeah,
I had to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah. As far as I know, she did take his advice and steer clear of him.
So she could see the color red, the red flag.
Oh, I was like, what?
The red flag was a waving.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I think there were enough things that were becoming clear to some of the people in his life that if they knew enough, they were trying to do what they could.
Yeah. It seems like he was kind of screaming out for help.
It does.
Yeah, that's sad. I don't feel bad for him, but...
I mean, I kind of do, and then I kind of don't.
I feel bad for the person he could have been if he got help.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to think about it. On May 13th, according to his father, they had a conversation before Joshua went to bed, and his father could tell that he was taking the breakup really hard. He didn't know any particular red flags or warning signs, though. Breakups are hard, so he really didn't give that conversation another thought.
Yeah, that sounds pretty legit.
Joshua took it a step further when he also falsely reported himself as a murderer to 2 different police agencies in an effort to be taken into custody.
If that isn't the biggest cry for help. See, I said it in the original episode even and totally forgot that I had said that it was like a really big cry for help. And it just keeps going. Like he turned himself in as a murderer even before he was a murderer. Like, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's me. Hi, I'm the murderer. It's me.
No, I mean, I don't know what else a person can possibly do. And I feel like every time we've discussed this case, I've said I'm at a loss for what more he could have done to try to prevent this.
Because you could say, oh, maybe he should have like gone to therapy or asked for a therapist. But when you're in that mindset, you can't always ask for exactly what you need. Mm-hmm. But if you are showing signs of obvious distress or
violent tendencies,
like other people need to take note of the people in their lives. Yeah. But it's a hard situation. I'm not saying anyone like did anything wrong, but
exactly. I mean, that really is the hardest part, is that you don't feel like anyone did anything wrong other than obviously it is wrong to kill people. But
yeah, that part.
Yeah.
That part's wrong.
I mean, under the circumstances, though, like we keep saying, how do you do anything that's more proactive than the things that he tried to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then of course there's the issue in this country with medical care, and it's not always easy to access, especially a therapist.
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier to buy a gun than it is to access adequate health care in some respects.
Yeah.
But
that's fucked up.
On Mother's Day, fears that perhaps they couldn't admit even to themselves would burst forth into reality when Joshua's sister arrived at the Webb family home along with her children to celebrate with the family. She was immediately alerted to the fact that something was very wrong when she sadly found Joshua's dog stabbed to death in the kitchen.
No. What?
I know. I'm really praying that her kids didn't see that.
I hope not. That's so sad.
But it's not until she steps further inside the family home that the full depth of the horror she stumbled upon is realized. So there were 2 neighbors that did speak to, it sounds like, law enforcement as well as the media at the time. And they said that Joshua's sister actually came to their house to ask them to call police.
Oh.
So it's a good possibility that all of these people were kind of hunkered down in their home, the neighbor's house.
Okay.
So I don't know, how many children she had with her present at the time, who these people were exactly, but they said, she was crying and obviously in shock. And one of the neighbors said, "This is just a nightmare. It's something you wouldn't imagine someone would do." And these are 2 neighbors that live within a few neighbors of where the Webb home was. They didn't give their names to the reporter that they spoke to for this article at the time because they wanted to let the family know first.
Oh.
They didn't want to give their information when speaking to the media until after they had spoken to the family.
Wow.
So it's a small community. These are people that are well known and like everybody knows everybody. It just speaks to that they have a lot of respect for the family.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to for
It's
me.
crazy the foresight they had.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's not something you would necessarily always think about. If I give my name, I'm not the one who's being harmed, but
Right.
I live very close in a very small town. Oh, I'm holding my heart for those people too.
Yeah. It's really heartbreaking.
So many people get affected by this shit. They're traumatized too, even though they didn't see a crime scene, but they saw someone who saw a crime scene, which is chilling.
I can't imagine that is a visual that leaves your mind easily.
Mm-mm.
On Mother's Day, of all days, she would find her mother's decapitated body lying on the floor.
Oh, I just got freezing cold.
When she dials 911, at this point, there's already another call coming into dispatch from a local grocery store.
I can't even imagine finding my mom.
Yeah.
Passed on, let alone the way that she passed on.
Yeah.
It's the most horrifying thought, and I want to cry.
I know. It's really upsetting. And the thing is, that 911 call that was coming in from the grocery store was not the only call that was being made. There was a woman who was normally working at that store. She'd worked there for about 3 years. I'm not going to use her name. I mean, if people want to find it, they probably can. But I feel like it's rough to be associated with this story in even a tangential way. She wasn't working that Sunday, but she started to get calls and texts from friends and family asking if she was safe. So people were already hearing about what had happened.
Oh my gosh. And did you say she normally worked that day? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it sounds like she normally worked over the weekend. And she just happened not to be working that day, maybe because it was the Mother's Day holiday. And, sometimes people ask for a holiday off or.
Yeah. That is crazy, though. We've come across that a couple of times where someone was supposed to be in an area or they weren't supposed to be in an area that they ended up being in. And
yeah. And who knows? I mean, it could just be simple, rotation of who works, Sundays or whatever. But just to hear that it's really that small, that tight-knit of a community that she's already being called and texted, like, are you okay? Because people know that she might be there.
I feel like I have done that before. Like I've heard something happening in a store that my friend works at. And I'm like, hey, are you working today? You okay?
Yep. My mom was actually out Christmas shopping, I believe, when the shooting happened at the Clackamas Mall.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah. She'd been shopping out in that area, and I think she had been at the mall at some point that day. I'll have to ask her about that.
Ugh.
I don't remember clearly the details or anything, but I just remember thinking, wow, okay. Even if you were just nearby, I mean, it just to come that close to something potentially really horrific like that, you just never know.
No, live it up because you never know.
Yeah, you only YOLO once. The caller described a disheveled man entering the store wielding a bloody knife, and we are not talking about a butter knife. It was an 8-inch knife, so more like something you'd use to carve a turkey. But it gets worse. Witnesses would state that in his other hand appeared to be a severed human head.
No, we're not in Sleepy Hollow. This is not a headless horseman situation.
The man helped himself to a soda from the cooler, drinking it right then and there in front of the stunned employees at the store. He threatened one of the store clerks, gave chase, and then gruesomely began stabbing the man, Michael Wagner. Michael Wagner was 64 at the time. So, I mean, he's not an elderly man, but immediately I was concerned when I was researching this story that, oh my God, please tell me that, he's going to survive. Please tell me that Michael is not going to die in a grocery store this way.
At 64.
Yes, that would have just been horrific. But it sounds like there were employees there that had first aid training. So they were able to kind of make sure that whatever life-saving measures that could be taken right then and there, they did that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And he did have to have emergency surgery. He suffered wounds to both his stomach and his sternum. So, yeah, that may have been until he was able to get to the hospital. That could have certainly been a potentially life-threatening series of injuries. Everything that I've read says that he was stabbed up to 7 times. So not an insignificant altercation.
With an 8-inch knife. That's a pretty big knife.
It's large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember hearing about this on the news. And I was like, the first thing that jumps out at you, obviously, is the fact that he's carrying around a head.
The horror of that.
It's terrible. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they kind of use that as like a headline grabbing thing, because I can't even put into words like how chilling it was to hear that on the news. I don't know.
It's hard to know when you're picturing that exactly what they were seeing, and there's a certain amount of horror that you just like don't want to picture it.
Yeah. I didn't put it together that it was Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when they were reporting it on the news, but I didn't put that together. I definitely didn't know anything about her daughter actually finding her.
Yeah, I do think that is probably one of the most horrific parts. And there's just so much about this that's really, truly horrific. The other employees immediately moved to subdue the attacker. They used duct tape to restrain the attacker before calling the police. I don't think most of you are likely having any trouble connecting the dots, but this was Joshua, who became completely catatonic at that point. He was taken to the hospital where he would remain in that state until a full 24 hours had passed. When he snapped back to reality, he said, "I had a nice nap," before providing a freely given confession to the horrific crimes of the previous day. This case did not go to a jury trial. It was pretty open and closed. He pleaded guilty by reason of insanity. His defense attorneys obviously wanted to see him sentenced to a mental institution rather than simply being incarcerated. 2 psychiatrists, one from each of the opposing legal teams, testified in his trial. They agreed that this was the correct course of action, as both confirmed a diagnosis of schizophrenia and psychosis. At the time of his trial, he had been medicated for his psychosis for roughly a year, but was still exhibiting signs of schizophrenia.
Oh my gosh. So even medicated,
Yeah.
he was still showing signs. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty serious mental illness. And I think that certainly some of that paranoia that for us was like, whoa, it makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, definitely
Certainly.
does.
Joshua's father, David Webb, who hadn't been present at the time of his wife's murder, said, "My wife was wonderful. I've been married to her for almost 41 years. Joshua was our son. I never saw a problem. Evidently, there was one. I start crying every time I think about it."
Oh, that poor man. We're crying again now, listening back.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard thing to hear.
Yeah,
I said it, the poor man.
I know. He did not speak during his trial or make eye contact with either his father or his sister. Following his trial, he would be sent to a state psychiatric hospital. Both his sister and the daughter of the other victim, Michael Wagner, felt that his sentence should involve prison time, which I'll be honest is pretty puzzling to me because I can see being angry and they have every right to be.
Yeah.
But I do think that this one really seems like a clear-cut case where he really belongs in a mental institution.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that maybe there aren't things that I don't know. But that's my takeaway.
Yeah, from the information we had about his behavior prior and after, because you said even medicated, he's still exhibiting signs.
Yes. Yeah. And just one more kind of anecdote, I guess we'll say, before we get into the tarot. When I go to do a case, especially something that I pictured this really having gone far and wide out there in the world, and it did through certain news outlets. But I was curious if any other podcasts had covered this case. The only other podcast that I could find that has covered this case was That's a Bad Sign. They actually received this case topic as a suggestion from a listener. Brandon, a listener of theirs from Estacada, wrote in with this case as a suggestion. Brandon said that his father had been an acquaintance of Joshua. Estacada is a super small town. I think I've only said it about 100 times.
Yeah.
His father had done some work for him on his van, and Joshua couldn't afford payment. But he offered, in lieu of cash, to provide the man with a homemade AK-47.
Holy shit.
The man declined and reported this to the police, but nothing ever came of it. Now, what's really interesting is I remember kind of looking at sort of the summation that a lot of the journalists or reporters were providing. Joshua did not have a criminal record for any type of violent crime. In fact, he had a really stupid, silly offense on his record. And it had to do with having metal on tires. I'm not familiar with this particular piece of law.
Okay.
It sounds like it was really not a big deal. But I just feel like there's so much about this case that it just doesn't make any sense. It's so senseless.
Well, should we try to make maybe a tiny bit of sense out of something with a tarot read?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Tarot?
Let's tarot about it.
As indie podcasters, we love to show our support of other awesome shows. So stay tuned for the promo we've got to share with you this week.
Let's show them some love. You can find their info in our show notes.
I'm Alicia Lockhart.
And I'm LaDonna Humphrey. We are the co-hosts of the Deep Dark Secrets podcast.
We're a true crime podcast that shines a light in some really dark places.
Season 1 covers the dangerous topic of death fetish forums and related murders. Did you know there are people out there that want to see a woman get stabbed, drowned, or hung to fulfill some sort of sexual desire?
Well, there are, and we've gone undercover in a number of these seedy, gated online communities. We have watched thousands of wannabe murderers talking shop about techniques for abducting, torturing, raping, and killing women.
People are dying at the hands of these death fetish predators, and we have to take a stand. We will shine a bright, unrelenting light on the deep, dark secrets of the death fetish community, and we invite you to join us as we do.
So tune in every Monday as we expose the fringes of true crime.
You guys, we're back.
And don't worry, we did get more wine.
Well, of course.
It's interesting you went with this pretty nature-y theme, and we were just talking about how beautiful Estacada was and the nature scene there.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
Hadn't
kind
thought
of cool.
about that.
What are we going to find out about this horrendous crime?
Okay. I think.
Can't tell if you're making a good face or a bad face. You guys.
Okay. Let's.
Oh, okay. We got the devil, which we've gotten this one other time, I feel like. In this deck. I feel like we got this ladybug one. I feel like we did, but I could be actually crazy. We don't know yet.
Okay. Well, I can go back through the tarot journal and see.
Also, these are not ladybugs. I did this last time. Yeah. Because they're on hops.
Oh.
Yeah. So the devil is number 15?
15. Keywords are obsession, indulgence, fear, materialism, and egotism. Many decks picture a medieval Christian-type devil, complete with horns, hooves, a hairy tail, and a pitchfork. It's quite the visual.
Ooh.
The Rider-Waite-Smith deck shows two small, human-like figures at the devil's feet, one male and one female, with chains around their necks that represent bondage to the material realm. Notice the chains are loose, though, and the people could easily slip them off, suggesting this card is about self-imposed limitations. When you think of the devil, what comes to your mind? Consummate evil, a mythical creature, a symbol of human indulgence, ignorance, egotism, greed, and irresponsibility? I think of the devil as the obsession card. And we have an extra excerpt. The devil appears to be one of the more alarming cards of the major arcana. However, he does not represent satanic forces or evil. That goatish guy is paganism's horned god Pan, connected to the fertility rites banned by the Christian church. Therefore, his appearance can indicate a sexual component to your question or concern.
God, I hope not.
In the Thought Tarot, Crowley's devil is clearly phallic. When the devil shows up in a reading, he recommends reevaluating your relationship to people and material things that keep you chained. It's time to let go of old fears, hang-ups, inhibitions, and ways you manipulate others to satisfy your needs. The devil tells you to figure out what's true and what's false, at least for you.
Damn.
Something about that, what's true and what's false, at least for you, like, it just speaks to an altered perception of reality to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. In a reading about money, this card can advise you to confront fears about financial security, social status, and material success.
How long ago was this?
Roughly 6 years ago.
Okay. Because I was just thinking about how mental health is like kind of just now we're starting to look at it and not fear it as much and try to get people help.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of thinking about that and the fear that people have around, getting help for your mental illness, which was a huge part of this.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. This says, are you too attached to money and material things? Are you taking advantage of others for personal gain? Are you selling your soul to the devil in order to profit?
Weird. Sounds like our healthcare system. What?
Yeah.
Did I already say that or something? Or
yeah. Interesting. I'm not sure that the work applies, but I'm going to read love. The devil asks, is an abusive, obsessive, or harmful relationship adversely affecting your life?
I would say so.
And I don't know how applicable this last section is, but there is another extra excerpt as well. Sexual desire may cause you to overlook character flaws in a partner. Self-inflicted bondage is preventing you from moving forward. And the extra excerpt says, the beast is always the dark face of the handsome prince.
Ooh, because he kind of had a beast inside of him.
Yeah. I do feel like if you look at this really more from a symbolic perspective, there are definitely some things that you can feel like there's a takeaway a little bit.
And it talked a lot about obsessive thoughts, which is like, to me, his thoughts about his paranoia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Ooh.
Should I read this little ditty? I think we've read it before, but why not? Let's do it again. They're hops and Japanese beetles that are eating the hops. The devil always comes from outside. It is the voice whispering in your ear, the monkey on your back, the invasive beetle stripping your leaves to skeletons. But if the devil comes from the outside, why does it take root so easily? The beetle has no natural predators, kind of like humans, except for humans. The leaves and grasses wait to be devoured, defenseless. A land ripe for consumption, a heart ripe for temptation. Like you were waiting for it. Like maybe it's not the outsider you thought it was. Better rip it out by its roots before it takes hold.
I just feel like this is the type of crime that you would think would be coming from
an outsider, and it came from in the family. What it said about God, I can't even talk because I'm like shaking. Rip it out before the roots take hold. I'm thinking of like the tentacles wrapping around his brain.
Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't even make that
and
connection.
Like this sad mental illness that he has is like trying to take hold of him, and he was trying so hard to fight it. It's really sad. Sorry. I don't cry a lot.
Yeah. I just feel like no matter what we try to intuit from this, it's just like there's really no upside, if that makes sense.
No.
Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Wow. Well, I really tried to make it like a cute little fairy garden of a altar setup, and now that seems.
But that's our little touch on it, though. That's the upside. We talk about that a lot. We try to do these nice little things to kind of balance out the horrific shit that we talk about. So,
wow,
that affected me like a lot more than I thought it was going to. That tarot read, sheesh.
No, I'm just surprised to see you like that emotional about it. It like that is the part that kind of has me a little bit speechless as well.
It's hard. I think because I relate, because when people cry out for help and then they don't get it. Yeah. It's really sad. I hate it.
Yeah. Wow.
If you know anyone in your life that needs help, like help them, please.
Yeah. And it's so, we actually have to record a message related to, it's a mental health message that it's going through another podcast that we're working with.
I didn't even put that together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to explain this fully, but it's like a suicide prevention message that we're going to be recording for another project that we're working on. It's not going to be airing on our show. Although that almost makes me want to record it and just share that.
And just add it to this episode, I think.
Okay. Well,
what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Let us know.
If you loved listening to that tarot reading and want to see it, 'cause duh, become a member of our Patreon, where a video of every tarot read is uploaded and the ad-free version of the episode each week.
Those videos typically have a lot of extras that we cut out of the regular episodes.
It's true.
Yeah. There's a lot of shenanigans sometimes that goes on back here that only the Patreon gets to see. So
it's true. The regular feed will never know how many times I've almost lit myself on fire.
They'll never know unless you tell them.
I just told them. Shit. Patreon is a monthly subscription with a range of price points and benefits. There's multiple tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Every member gets a personalized welcome card, which currently comes with a tarot card reading of your very own.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And we're going to start doing a personalized shout out in an upcoming episode. This is new, y'all.
Oh, yeah. That's very exciting. Mm-hmm. We get to shout out some of our lovely, creepy people Patreon's names.
Yes. So listen up for that. We're going to start that pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive bonus episodes. We've also done a couple of live episodes.
Yeah.
And random goodies. We've occasionally broken out our crystal vending machine for surprises during our lives. And there's a lot of other stuff. I know I'm probably leaving something out.
There's so much more.
So much more.
If you can't support us monetarily, no worries, because the easiest ways to support are absolutely free.
Free 99.
Yeah, that's my favorite price.
Tell everyone and anyone you come into contact with about us. Everyone. Literally everyone.
Literally.
Grandma, tell her.
Strangers, tell them.
Tell them. Or leave us a 5-star review on any platform you can. Apple is a really big help. And if you can leave a glowing review, we always appreciate it.
You can also rate on Spotify too now. You can't leave a review, but you can leave 5 stars.
Yeah.
Only 5 though.
Leave the 5 stars.
If you have any true crime, paranormal, or witchy stories to submit for our listener appreciation episodes, Creepy People Chronicles,
The creepiest.
please email us at pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com. All spelled out. There's no special characters in there. Or use our handy dandy Google form link in the episode description.
Yeah, I made that.
She did. It's great.
It's cool. You're always welcome to remain anonymous if you like. And remember, they do not have to be from the Pacific Northwest if you'd like to share. If you have creepy stories from the Philippines or from London.
If you've been to the Bermuda fucking Triangle, like write us about it, please.
Yeah.
Follow us on all the socials if you don't want to miss out on photos of the tarot cards, our beautiful altar setups, and a lot of backstage shenanigans.
Yeah, we be lighting them stories up.
Yeah, we do.
You can find our new website or our link tree in the description of this episode to check out all the fun that we have to offer. And there is so much.
There's so much, you guys. We're
So
a ton of fun.
much.
I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but we're a lot of fun
We're a lot of fun.
when we're not crying.
It's true. And honestly, like, we're kind of fun even when we're crying.
Yeah, but don't make us cry on purpose, though.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay. Only we can do that to each other.
Yeah.
And you guys.
New rule.
Have
a creepy-ass Mother's Day.
This podcast involves topics such as violence, sex, and mental illness.
If this might disturb you or those around you, please reconsider. It's okay. If you ever feel unsafe or suicidal, please call your local crisis center, emergency services, or national hotline. In the U.S., the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255.
You matter.